see them in the shadows. I see them on my brain.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome in. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It's your girl, No Mercy here. It's Tuesday night, so you already know what time it is. It's time for No Punches Pulled with me, of course, No Mercy. Some of you probably already know who I am, but those of you that are new, I am your host, Brooke Millbrook, formerly known in the fight business as Brooke No Mercy Dierdorff. I am a retired professional boxer, held the WBC lightweight title until I retired, and was inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame in 2022. I've been through some good, some bad, and of course, tons of BS in the sport of women's boxing. But welcome to my platform. This is where we talk the talk, and of course, we walk the walk. We bring out the truth in women's boxing. We talk to past boxers, current boxers, future boxers, pioneers of the sport. We got it all here. We get down and dirty. We speak the truth of what takes place in women's boxing. You don't want to miss a single show. Please make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and sharing so you don't miss a single Tuesday night here with me and all of my special guests. But tonight, joining us is another fantastic interview for you guys. We've got yet another Hall of Famer in the house with us tonight, Ann Marie Saccurato. Ann in 1995 overcame tremendous odds just to be able to walk again. She was a passenger in a devastating car wreck while returning from a volleyball competition at the Empire State Games. She suffered punctured lung, broken pelvis, broken hip, 2 broken legs, shattered arm, broken ribs, severe nerve damage. They didn't expect her to live through the night, let alone ever walk again. But her grit, determination as an athlete and a human being, never giving up, proved everybody wrong. She immediately took an aggressive rehabilitation program, knowing in her heart she would play sports again. But against all medical odds, she went on to play basketball and volleyball at the university in 1996. She is often a guest speaker at schools, hospitals, and of course, gyms, sharing her amazing story of beating the odds and giving encouragement to all the others never to give up on their dreams. In 1999, she entered her first boxing gym and began her amazing boxing journey. In the amateur, she compiled a 9-4 record, taking the silver medal at 156 pounds in the 2000 USA Boxing National Championships and won the 2001 New York and New York US National Golden Gloves. She made her prominent pro debut in 2002. She is a 3-time WBC lightweight champion and was also inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame in 2016. She, of course, just like all of us back in the day, has faced the best of the best during her time in the ring with so many greats. Just to name a few: Erica Ferris, Holly Holm, Yelena Murdovic, Miriam Lamar, Fujin Rakia, Jessica Rakosi, if y'all remember her, Victoria Cisneros, Bonnie Mann, and Eliza Olsen. But y'all, we got an exciting one for you tonight. So get ready, y'all. Help me welcome Ann Marie to the show.
Hey, bro.
What's good, champ? How are you? It's such a pleasure to meet you, sit down with you. Always wanted to meet you. We never got the opportunity, but it's a pleasure to hear your story. Oh, no. She'll be back, guys. There she is. She's here.
But thank you so much for that amazing introduction. You definitely brought me back with that. I was like, oh, man, she remembers things. She's got things on me I don't even remember.
I do my research. Actually, I laugh at every guest I have because, I mean, I do like refresh my memory. But unlike so many, I guess, fighters today, I know like so much about so many fighters. I don't know. We paid more attention back then, I guess. Plus, we fought at the same time. So we never met in the ring, but we fought at the same time. So I definitely know quite a bit. But I do my research to get a little more digging in there. But yeah, good times.
Got that on lock. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So we always kind of start off first, maybe take us back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and your upbringing and like what makes you Ann Marie.
Way back. Got that. So, goodness, man, I grew up, you know, I always knew I was different. There was something different inside me. I felt what I've been told by several individuals in different ways that have warrior spirit. I have the spirit of a wolf. I had the head of a Cherokee tribe tell me he saw the spirit of a Cherokee warrior in me. He saw the spirit of a wolf in me. I felt it. I've been told by coach before that I have the gladiator gene inside of me. I mean, I've felt all these things when I was a kid growing up. I always knew there was something different. I knew I was meant for more. I knew I was meant for greatness, and I knew that my my mission, my purpose in life was to give out to the world what was inside of me, and that led me to the what I built myself and my legacy on, which is to inspire, empower, and impact as many lives as possible. And realizing that my entire life and everything I do in my journey and my purpose is greater than myself, and that's pretty much led me. So growing up, I was in a my mother got divorced. My father, abusive father, deadbeat dad. We grew up in complete poverty, no child support, no alimony. The stove was our heat in the wintertime, layers of clothes. I mean, that was the condition, and that's really what instilled that fighter inside of me. And knowing that, okay, and I can't explain how I knew it. It just was. I mean, everything was happening for a reason. I knew that even as a young age, and I can't explain why. It was just it was in me, you know. Man, I can remember even my brother going. Not to give you guys get too in depth, but my brother going to visitation, and he didn't want to go, and I would try to take him out of my father's car and bring him into the house. I was like, I was always the protector of him,
Mhm.
protector of my mom, and that's where that fighter mentality started. Uh,
Yeah.
that I was going to be a professional athlete. I was always drawn to athletics. And to me, becoming a professional athlete was to take care of my mom and my brother, but I saw it as the springboard to be able to get out to the world what was inside me as an individual, just mindset. And I knew that very young, so that kind of propelled me throughout my life. I was always told I can't do this, I can't do that. I mean, I remember going small high schools told, oh, you're never gonna get into a Division I school, you're never gonna get a scholarship, nobody's ever gonna see you. I didn't believe any of that. So school, then practice after school, then travel team practice after that, and it was the grind. I
Mhm.
way, but to go all in into everything to get what I want, what I know I was meant for.
Yeah.
So that's how it led, and that led me throughout high school and the senior year of high school, or the summer after my senior year. That's when the car accident happened. And it's kind of funny because not funny, it's kind of crazy. That whole senior year, I had this feeling that something life threatening was going to happen to me, but I was going to overcome it. And again, I can't explain where it came from, but I felt it, and I felt it get stronger and stronger throughout the year. 3 days after my 18th birthday, I was heading up to Empire State Games, and I remember waving. My mother had dropped me off at the arena where the buses were leaving from. I remember waving goodbye to her, and I said, in my head, all of a sudden, this feeling went through me of what if I never see her again? You don't think that at 18 years old,
Right.
but I felt it, I thought it, and back is when I was in the car, we 360'd, and I was sleeping in the back seat of the car. So when you have a dream and you feel like your body, I remember that feeling, but it was the reality of the car spinning, and the car wrapped a pole, and I got shot through the back window of a two-door Chevy Beretta, with the car's small little sports car. They found me hanging out the back seat of the car, unconscious. They had to use the car had wrapped a pole for the overhead signs, and they had to use jaws of life to get me out. And the next thing I can remember is being on a floorboard, not being able to breathe, and asking paramedic if I was going to die. And their response to me was not if we can help it. So after that, I was taken to a local hospital. They actually had the highway closed down. They were going to fly me to a trauma one center. The weather was too severe, so they closed the highway down. They drove me in advanced life support to a local hospital, stabilized me, drove me down. I remember actually they had my mom on the phone in my ear um, during that time, telling me that I love you and crying, and I remember that. And after that, I just know they took me down to the hospital, Trauma One Center, Westchester Medical Center. It was a couple hours south, which is actually where I live. And I went through somewhere. I've heard different stories between 14 and 18 hours of surgery. The doctors had my family in a private room. They didn't think I was going to make it. Went through the surgery, and when I woke up, the first thing that I said to the doctors, first thing I can remember saying, was, "What about sports?" And their response to me was, "We don't know if you're going to walk or walk normal again, and you're most likely never going to compete in any sport." And my response back to them was, "You have no idea what's inside." And so it was never a question. It was never a doubt. I looked at my body. I looked at my mom, and I was like, "Wow, I really fucked up." That's when I kind of laughed it off. As crazy as that seems, but at the time I did. I was like, "I'm good." Like, my next words were, "Get me the best physical therapist when I get out of here," and tell Seton Hall that that's where I was going to go to school. I'll be back next year, and let's get going. It was just full speed ahead. It was like, okay, now what? I say all the time now is, so what? Now what? So what? Now what? Now what are we gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Doctors, I had only one working limb. I had bands tied to my bed, and I would be doing band pulls and pulling on the little lever that I used to sit up. Like, whatever I could do, I was doing. I would go against the doctor's orders on absolutely everything. We don't want you sitting up for longer than this. I don't care how nauseous I felt because I was in bed lying down for so long. I would sit up, fight the nausea. We don't want you weight bearing. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was determined. Like I said, that grit, and I love you for saying that. Thank you. That's what I live my life by, and I don't believe in limitations. It's cliche. So within yourself, facts. Right?
Yeah.
And that brought me to now.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the big question there would be, how did you stay so positive and motivated during the grueling rehab, and how you overcame the experience to defy all odds against the doctors, basically?
Like I said, God blessed me with spirit within myself that I was born with. Coming out from dealing with a father that was put us in those circumstances, and my mother. I got it. It's from my mom. Like, she's a warrior, and God bless her. She had passed 2018 from ovarian cancer. I say she hasn't passed. She got called up to a higher purpose because she was too big to be down here alone. And that's the way that I look at it, and I feel her all the time. But her strength, she showed me, my brother, to always, and would tell us all the time, you guys are leaders. Doesn't matter when anybody else says things. You guys are meant for more. Like, she instilled that in us.
Yeah.
And led the way in doing everything that she could to take care of us growing up. So without us even recognizing that, seeing his mom, but really her energy and her being is what gave us to becoming who we are. And that's just that magnified the feeling that I already had inside.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was, her will and determination helped just keep you positive and push through.
100%. So, they showed up, my mom, my brother showed up, and I'm good. Like, certain things we can't explain in life, and I can't explain why I have that strength, and it was just innate in me, but it's always grown stronger. And that accident was just like, I knew in that hospital bed, that, and I would have this conversation with myself. I'm sorry, my dog is
It's okay.
But I'm sorry. Come here, buddy. Want to be on TV? No. Come here. Say hi. No.
He's like, I'm shy.
He's crying because he knows this is my him, because I'm away all day long, and I get to come home, and he's attention.
Yeah, and now he's like, what, you're supposed to be with me?
Exactly. So what was I going to say to you? Yeah, when I was in the hospital bed, I remember sitting there and saying, you know what? I've always said everything in your life, it happens for a reason. I have a purpose. I know that when I said, excuse me, come here. I know that when I put out to this world that I was meant to inspire and impact others, and I knew that growing up, that I was going to have things thrown at me. That was me to say, okay, one, how bad you want it, and two, to be able to test you to be able to do those things. Because you haven't lived things. That's every challenge, every adversity I've had in my life. I said, okay, what's next? Because these are the things that are building me not only to who I am, but allow me to be living proof of, yes, you can do this. And if I haven't gone through it myself, I'm not proof enough that it's possible, number one. And two, who am I to instill in you the confidence that you're able to do these things or to be these adversities? It's not a book to get here. I didn't just watch a movie or a seminar to get here. I've lived the things in my life that I speak on, that I preach on from day one, baptized. So, having that mindset, it grew in me in the hospital. And I said, I'm going to be back. This happened to me. I'm going to be the light for somebody else. And this is even more fuel to the fire for me to do what I know that I'm destined to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, everybody has roadblocks. Everybody has walls put up. It's just what you do with that wall. Are you going to climb the wall, or are you just going to sit down and give up? I mean, that's really what it boils down to. But it was just what, a year later, you were off to college playing ball.
It was honestly, and this is how, with boxing, because boxing was never, I was never even a thought in my head. I grew up playing basketball, volleyball, softball, like that was my life. And it's funny because I would say, and I was saying in interviews, it's I'm not a boxer, I'm a fighter. It's very different. Can learn how to box, can learn jiu-jitsu, can learn to get into MMA, right? You can learn and have respect for them, but are you really a fighter? And you see that in what we talked about briefly prior to this, like who's in there to do it and who's just in there, tagging along with the fighter, because there's a great separation there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the accident happened. It was 6 months, August 5th of '95, 2 weeks before Halloween. I was in the hospital. A week before Halloween, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I was in rehab. And the day that I got home, the first thing I did was put my stuff away, and I went out for a run. And that's how my mind worked. I was back in the gym the next day, and getting back, all that I knew in my head was I got to get ready to do what I want to do at Seton Hall and pass my career in college, and not knowing how things were going to go the next couple of years. But I said, besides my training and strength work and whatnot, I started getting involved there was a boxing class, and the friend was like, oh, why don't you take it? So I took it, and then I got involved with the guy who was running it. He was like, he saw whatever he saw. And I started studying with another trainer at the time there, who was a master at Jeet Kune Do, which is what Bruce Lee had created.
Mm-hmm.
Started studying Jeet Kune Do, and then a friend of mine had sent me something about New York Golden Gloves, and I was like, I just want to compete. I'm like, okay, and that's even how I got into boxing. Boxing kind of took me away from where my mindset was with college and with basketball and with volleyball and my strength conditioning work, and it kind of took me down a different path.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the short of what happened in the follow-up after that accident.
Yeah. You did still go on to play, then took another route, moved on, but you did very well in the Amis. 2000 USA Boxing National Champ, 2001 New York and US National Golden Gloves. Do you have any favorite moments or memories from the amateurs that really stick out for you?
Let me tell you right now, and I'm guessing you can relate. The guy that I told you about from the gym class where I didn't know anything, to put me into his boxing gym, told me he worked with all these people. He showed me all these pictures. I didn't know. And I was like, okay, cool. He sounds good. And I was young and stupid and just hungry for something.
Yeah.
And he didn't work with any of these guys. And as a matter of fact, when I got to the gym the first day, he's like, all right, go do 10 rounds on the bag. He left the gym, and I was the only person in the gym. That was boxing. 3 weeks later, we have a fight, and it's against Jill Emery, who was the national champion at the time. I had 3 weeks of hitting a bag, a majority of the time by myself, and I'm fighting 23-0, who I didn't know was 23-0 until I was walking to the ring at Gleason's gym, and somebody told me that. That's how I found out. I didn't care. I didn't care. I was like, okay, game on. So I went in there like a Tasmanian devil, and we threw down. And with 30 seconds left in the round, she broke my nose, and the fight was ended. Christy Halbert, USA Boxing, was at Gleason's gym and comes up to me after the fight, where I had no business being in the ring, let alone what was about to happen, which was, she says, here, I don't remember if somebody got injured or what the situation was, but we have an extra ticket to the U.S. National Midland, Texas. Would you like to go? Okay. I have a broken nose and 2 black eyes, or I'm on a plane to Midland, Texas for 3 weeks of hitting a bag to go fight in the U.S. Nationals. Okay. So I fight, not box at all. Yeah. I fight through the finals, blood pouring out my nose every single fight. Now, here's where, again, higher power goes into play. There's no reason USA Boxing allowed me to compete or go on, because especially at that point, they were stopping everything. They would not allow you. But they let me into the finals, and I fought Jill Emery again, second time in 2 weeks. Lose to her there. Fight her in the finals of the Golden Gloves a week later. Now it's 3 times in 3 weeks. I lose to her there, and I was like, okay, I'm done. let's go. And then that's what pushed me to the next year, winning the Golden Gloves. And then the guy that I was with, still with him, he's like, all right, we're going to turn you pro. I just was going along for the ride. I was like, okay, let's go. And so do I have a certain memory? No, because it was such a mush of just going along and not even knowing, just stumbling through. But
yeah,
this,
yeah,
we're going to keep going and turned pro.
yeah. That's so funny. My beginning of my career was very similar to that, and that's why I'm sitting here chuckling. And as a matter of fact, is Jill Emery? Is she like 6'3"?
Gosh,
Is she tall?
tall. She's tall. And the funny thing is, when I had my first fight against Jelena, it was as part of one of the documentaries that were done on me, and Jill was commentating that fight. That's
so funny. And it's because, so when I got out of the military, which is when I started boxing, because when I was in the military, I worked at this club like part-time, and they have fight nights there, which is how I got interested in boxing. So I would do like these fight nights, like you could fight anybody in the whole club, like as long as you signed a waiver.
Yeah.
So when I got out of the military, I just went to a local gym, suburbs of Chicago, just to stay in shape, and because I liked it. So I had been training like 2 weeks. This is so funny because this is so freaking similar. 2 weeks. And my trainer is Jesse Torres. I mean, he was a fighter. He was a retired fighter. But he's like, oh, we got the gloves coming up in Chicago, the Chicago Golden Gloves. And actually, I think it was the Nationals. The first time I fought, it was the Nationals. And you want to fight? And I was like, yeah, cool. Well, I didn't know anything. So he's like, well, you know what? I didn't know there was a novice and an open and like all this different stuff. You didn't know either, obviously. And he's like, well, you don't want to fight like this, blah, blah, blah. So here's a book. Well, he made me like a fake book, like with a fake record so I could fight open. And I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't know. I was like, cool. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the first girl I ever fought was Jill Emery.
Probably.
Because I was heavier then. I think it was at like 138.
Okay.
When my very first amateur fight, I think. But the name sounds so familiar that I'm like, I'm pretty sure she was like 6'3" and I'm 5'4". So as soon as I started walking up, I'm like, what the fuck did he get me into? Like, this girl is ginormous. And then they said her record, and she had like 60 something fights, and I had been training 2 weeks, and I was like, what the hell?
Yep.
So yeah, I fought her. There was no boxing. I just stayed on the inside and just kept punching. I did end up winning and went all the way to the finals. I took second. But so very similar story, but that's why I was chuckling, because I'm like, that sounds like exactly how I got thrown in there.
Yeah, that's how it was back then. Like,
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, good times. But yeah, that was my first experience too. But I'm gonna have to look. Michael, look at my amateur record and see if she was the first person I fought, because I swear that name sounds so familiar. But yeah, you turn, okay, so not long after that though, turn pro. First big fight to me, I mean, you had several good fights, won by TKO in your pro debut. But March 2003, you faced another Hall of Famer, amazing person. I had the opportunity to meet at the induction. She was inducted with me last year. Eliza Olsen. Y'all had a barn burner, 4-round draw. Tell us a little bit about that fight.
Man, she was just on me. I mean, we were just slugging away.
Yeah, your styles are so similar.
Yeah, it was like, that was my first, all right, it's time to turn up, like, experience. And all right, this is what it is. Game on. And in truth, like, that was a fight that really, for me, I was game on. But those are like the experiences, those are moments that really depict whether you have what it takes to push through, and you're gonna, when you start reaching that higher caliber, or you're gonna fall to the wayside.
Yeah, if you're gonna fold.
After that draw, I was so upset. I was like, man, it broke my heart getting a draw. And she came down, we talked afterwards, and she's such a sweetheart. We stay in contact to this day.
Yeah, she's amazing.
IG, and yeah, I love that girl. I have a lot of respect for Eliza.
Yeah, Yeah, we hung out a little bit at the inductions, and I still talk to her every now and then through Facebook and stuff. But yeah, she's awesome. Um, but yeah, that was like the first initial one where I was like, this
Yeah,
is going to be
step up
a
fight.
phenomenal fight. 2004 Women's National Golden Glove semifinals. I fought, Jill George. Okay, see, I knew it was Jill.
Bill George.
Jill George. Okay, she was like 6'3", a big girl, and she had like 60 something fights, and I had never fought, and I was like, what in the hell did he do to me? Yeah, it was fun. It was interesting. But yeah, you learn. Either you're gonna do this or your ass is gonna go sit down somewhere.
Absolutely. It's in your and you learn real quick once you start getting those step up fights. So
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of mentioned this a little bit though. Not too long after that, 2006 local favorite. Of course, I'm pretty sure I don't even know if she's fought outside of Canada, maybe. But Jelena Mrdovic, another phenomenal fighter though. Take nothing away from her. I tried to fight that girl so many freaking times. It's not even funny. I wanted to fight her so bad. But vacant WBC lightweight title. You were even a late replacement for Eliza, who had to pull out due to an injury a few weeks prior to the fight. Tell us about the fight in Jelena's backyard and winning your first world title.
that fight was man, it means a lot. It's really memorable because I remember when getting into when I turned pro and just the amount of listen, for a majority of my life, during my career, I was working 7 days a week. I had 4 hours of sleep. I was working, building my career as a strength coach, as a performance coach, and clients all morning long, boxing in the afternoon, then my strength conditioning work, any speed work, track work, whatever, and then clients at night. And it was the same thing Friday. Saturday morning I was grinding, then whatever boxing training, technical work, and then Sunday was like my one day off, and that was filled with other work. Or I didn't even sorry, I had clients early in the morning, and then it was busy work stuff that I needed to get done, right? And just that grind and being exhausted all the time. I'm like, really understanding was being a female athlete. It's not just it's female athletes across the board, right? That and with the past that and everything that I've gone through, and again with my mindset of I want to get my life, my story, me out there for others. I would love for a documentary to follow me for my first title fight when I get it.
Yeah.
Everybody's shit. After I signed the contract, and I get it again on short notice, and I'm like, you know what? No, let's go. I don't care. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I signed the contract. Within maybe 2 or 3 days, PBS calls me and said, we want to do a documentary on it. Well, they didn't even know this was happening with the contract. So it was kind of crazy. So to have a documentary, a film crew follow me to that lead up made it even more memorable and such a fight. And now it's time where I was really going to get tested, and I remember hearing, even when I was in Canada, people make sure that you hear certain things when they're around, that she has 11, has a hook, and they had a girl knocked out for 11 minutes or whatever time it was.
Yeah, that phenomenal left hook. Come on now.
Yeah, they would say these things, so I would hear it whenever I was near. And I remember, the press conference and everything, and my one response to all of them was, she hasn't seen me yet. She hasn't faced me yet. Stood out and go that ring walk and the arena going nuts for Jelena. And all respect to Jelena. Jelena actually trains about 5 minutes away from me.
Nice.
El Rey Boxing Gym. So she's down here a lot. We haven't met up yet, but I have, all my respect for her. Absolute warrior. She gave me a lot of respect after the fight in the rematch. So that fight though, going back, it just meant a lot to have that and going into that arena, hearing, the crowd and everything, and all I kept saying, she hasn't seen me yet. She hasn't seen me yet. And then I don't remember what round it was. Maybe it was the fourth or seventh round. They stand in my head. But she lands that hook. And I remember feeling, and I was just like, fuck. And my legs got wobbly. And it was something inside me was just like, just walk, keep moving. And I got my balance back, and we brawled it out for the next couple rounds. And I came back to win the decision. Yeah. And I mean, it was the most incredible feeling to take that win, especially after taking that hit. And it was a split decision. So first for me and the second for her. And I think I was probably the only one in that arena was like, no, I got this. Because
Yeah.
third was for me to just see everybody go nuts.
Yeah.
It was definitely a remarkable moment.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it was in Canada, in her backyard, everybody who knows, I mean, if you know, you know, to
And
win in somebody's backyard on a decision,
but
it's extremely hard.
I was used to it everywhere.
Yeah.
In New York,
Yeah, you're a road warrior. I know.
yeah,
I
that's
know.
and gave me one of the I've been blessed and thankful for them for different accolades that I've received from them, and one of them was Road Warrior of the Year. I went and I didn't care. I was like, all right, let's go. I was in it, and from that title fight, and maybe this wasn't the smartest. I didn't care about smartest. I said, listen, I only want top competitors because I was in this to prove something, to prove myself, and to get more. I didn't. Yeah, maybe I should have had build-up fights, but I never even had a real team behind me. It was people don't even know this. Majority of my career, 99% of my career, was me, myself, and I in the gym. Even as a title holder, I was training myself. I was training myself so much that when I would go back, I would only be able to go to Gleason's when, and I was going to Gleason's and traveling to Gleason's because there's no other quality boxing gym around me that was what I wanted, and I couldn't get down unless I had a title in or a contract in hand.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, who are you working with? They didn't believe that I had gotten better from me just working with myself, and I was putting the time in, so I never a real team behind me to stand with.
Yeah. I've been there, done that.
Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the same. People just don't realize it's the behind the scenes stuff that people just don't understand, especially for us fighters, from the last decade, not the new generation of fighters. Same thing. I mean, I worked a job 9 to 5. I even had a kid already when I started pro. So you got her. She grew up in the gym. Luckily there was other people, women in there that would help. But yeah, so it's funny. Me and Michael were just talking about this earlier. You get 2-3 hours, maybe a day, to train, and that's like you're like a part-time boxer. 90% of us were back then. It wasn't a full-time job. We didn't have those luxuries. So you're part-time training. And I said, imagine like all of us beasts, like from back in the day. I mean, I call us beasts. There's certain ones that just the bulldogs come out. But if we had trained full time, how much better we would have been.
Yeah.
Like if we had that luxury.
I
crazy.
I definitely trained full time. I made sure, because to me, and again, like standards are a big part of who I am, and I made it that way. And that's why I was working with clients at 5:30 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, because I was like, I need this time for myself. I'm putting in the 2 hours of box work, technical work. Like I said, even if it was myself, when I had a fight lined up and could go to Gleason's, I had to then account for, even though Gleason's was maybe a 20, 30 minute drive without traffic in New York, and from getting into Brooklyn, forget it, it's 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours.
Yeah.
I needed to allot for that time and get to Gleason's, and then, allowing myself an hour for my strength conditioning and whatever time for any sprint work, whatever after. I made sure that was in there. You know, I'm lucky in the fact that what I do in building my own brand business, I had the ability to do that. I had the luxury to do that because of my clients, and I could say where I'm going to maneuver them. But I was loaded, and I mean, I was going on exhaustion, even going into title fights. I was going into exhaustion mode, but it was this that pushed me through, and that willpower that you create in your physical. I say all the time, like your physical training creates that's what builds your mental, your emotional, even though I had to transpired even more so through the physical, because that you have all that you have is all it's going to take for all that you want.
And I mean, it's the same thing with us not working with the proper coaching or getting the time that you deserve with the coaches, not having promoters, not having managers, not having none of that stuff.
Sparring, like the amount of sparring got, or even for title, probably the amount of sparring that people get, a couple, like I had nothing. It was just going going in, when I was lucky enough to get down to Gleason and I was working with Hector Roca or, getting in work with Melissa Hernandez and Belinda Arconte, like, and Alicia Ashley, like getting in work with those guys, like that was my time,
Yeah.
Had that year round. I didn't have sparring year round. I didn't have coaching year round. I didn't have, so it was like, all right, what can I do? What can I create?
Yeah.
But again, like those are the things that also instill in me to be the coach that I am now, to be the speaker that I am now, because I can now I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been there, done that, know what it's like, and don't want anybody else to have to go through that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Fast forward just a little bit though. You hit the road again, taking on another phenomenal fighter, Holly Holmes. You did lose the decision there, but
I don't know. And I told
was a very, very, very close fight, even though the scorecards didn't reflect it. I know, because I saw. So to give us your take on the fight with Holly Holm.
Oh man, first of all, again, so much respect for Holly. I saw her out days after. I saw her out in Vegas. I'll tell you that after this. But yeah, I was like, man, she's a big girl. And it was another one. That was the second time I had a second documentary done on me. It was leading up to the Holly Holm fight. And I was like, all right, we're definitely going to bring it now. And, again, there was no doubt in my mind. I don't think I can't do anything. Right. So I'm like, I got this. I'm like, I know what the record is. I don't care. I got this. Went in there and we battled it out. And I was like, shit. And I was thinking things that she ended up saying, which she don't stop. And I'm like, I'm banging her and she's coming. And I remember seeing an interview with her afterwards that I actually read. I found spontaneously, I just found where she said the toughest opponent that she had faced was me because I kept coming forward. And I'm like, in my head, I'm reading, I'm like, I kept thinking the same thing. Like, she pushed me to even mentally, emotionally being in the ring and like, man, she's not going down. I'm hitting her with everything and nothing's happening. She's still right there and she's banging back. I'm like, what do I have to do? I'm like,
yeah.
I couldn't figure out. And that's what the frustrating part was. Like, I remember rounds 8, 9, and 10, I'm missing something. I couldn't figure out what the piece was that I was missing. Because I knew I could, strategically, there was something I wasn't doing that was killing me. Because I knew there was a way I could get an angle to take her out or to have it on her. And I couldn't figure it out, but that was one of the most mentally, emotionally challenging fights for me. The physical I can take, I'll bang through all day long, but trying to figure out in that moment what I was missing or what I could do better. And that goes back, like, even for the coaching, like, I worked with Hector Roca coming up for that fight and we had good sparring, but even with the sparring, like, I didn't have anybody as her height in a southpaw to really bang with. I think worked with a couple of guys, but it's not the same.
No.
Pull back, they do change, or they throw with a lot more. Goes one extreme or the other. It's different. So looking back, I wish I had the ability to have, I don't say better coaching for that, but more opportunities to work with other individuals for that fight, for better sparring and to work. Because it came down to I didn't have the scenario live in front of me to work with, to figure out pieces that I knew I was missing and lacking in the fight, and I felt that I was actually lacking something in a fight, and I did there.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing with Holly is, one, I think a lot of it has to do with her footwork is fucking phenomenal. She's got the stick and move down to a fucking science. Like, she's phenomenal with it. But the other thing, I think why it's so hard, because plenty of people touched her good. I think her conditioning always, to me, has stood out above and beyond. I mean, watching her training clips and different things, her conditioning to me is on a whole nother freaking level. Like, her core can sustain some serious damage.
Yeah.
And that's boxing and MMA. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with why people couldn't affect her, because she could just suck it up like a freaking sponge.
Yeah, I'll give her that. First, I'm not taking anything away from her, 100%. She trains like a beast. She trains in altitude. I do think that I got a draw in that
altitude
fight.
Is a big fucker.
Altitude. I do think that I got a draw in that fight 100%, even though I was frustrated to my capabilities, for my standards. But I do think I got a draw.
Yeah.
I did know about the altitude and going in and her training. And listen, if there's one thing as a strength coach, as a performance coach, and even growing up and learning as I was going through boxing as well, and still, studying and learning from some of the best in the industry, that's one thing I own. I own strength, my own performance for myself, for others. And we even got an altitude tent. I was sponsored for that fight by, Colorado altitude training. Had an altitude tent that I slept in at home, and anytime I was home, I was in it. So we had all bases covered for that fight going in, and that's why, again, just that frustration. But yeah, I mean, she has great training out there. I know people that have worked with her, people that she works with, and she's in great condition. The altitude, it gives an advantage sometimes, but again, had that prepared. I felt good in the ring. I didn't feel deconditioned. I didn't feel the altitude getting me.
Yeah, you definitely didn't get gassed. That wasn't an issue. No, you didn't get gassed. That wasn't an issue.
And I'll tell you what, we met. I was working with Macy Barber. Was it last year? 2 years ago, and she had a fight in Vegas. Flew out to Vegas. Was coming up from her shakeout the day of the fight. I get into an elevator, and the guy is in the elevator, and he looks at me. He's like, "You fought Holly Holm." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to know how I know that?" I was like, "Sure." He goes, "Because I'm staying with her. You want to come say hi?" And I was like, "All right." Because I had wanted to talk to her, especially from the second fight, which we'll get into. I go upstairs, and I'm leaning back because I'm trying to surprise her. He knocks on the door and goes in. And then he's like, "I got a friend here for you." And I pop out, and we were like two school kids hugging each other, in tears, like two little girls. It was the craziest moment. We didn't take a picture. We should have, but it just so much respect, love, across the board between the both of us. That was probably the most memorable moment for me, and that meant so much because the second fight, this is one thing I'll give you guys that nobody knows. The second fight I took and I shouldn't have taken. Well, I should have pulled out. But the stubborn athlete fighter inside of me wasn't going to allow me to do that. I needed a team to pull me out, and I didn't have a team, especially in that juncture of training.
Yeah.
I have Hector with me. I was working with Melissa Hernandez. They didn't want Melissa to have anything to do with me because of other circumstances that had gone down. So I had to work with a couple of individuals that I hadn't really worked with before. And they should have pulled me, I believe, but didn't. And I actually went into that fight with 6 weeks prior to. I broke my right elbow and tore my right tricep. I had no right arm in that fight whatsoever. And nobody really knows that. I think very few people know that. And that is what led to really disheartening, because all that I wanted was that rematch. I did come home the first fight with a bunch of emails saying I got a draw, or they thought that I won. I don't think I won. I think it was a draw. I really don't think I lost. I would say that I've taken losses. I'm what, Miriam had me that day in France, but whatever. And if I, it meant so much to me that I didn't want to pull out.
Yeah. You didn't know if you get the opportunity again.
Yeah. And I was really and it happened. I got the opportunity after I had just bought a Harley and was sitting on it, and it was a freak accident. The Harley started to tip. I moved my leg. I was listening to the sales guy. I moved my leg. The Harley started to tip. It was parked on an angle. I went to put my arm down, and 1,200-pound bike, boom, on my right arm. It was just instinct. I was like, shit, can't let the bike.
Yeah, I got to catch it.
I catch it. I just bought this. And it was a freak accident, and that was the timing of it. And, is what it is. But
the things we do.
And they stopped it, and I think it was maybe the seventh round, and it was kind of crazy because I went to the WBC at Night of Champions and flew me out to Wales, and there was a documentary about a kid with one arm getting into boxing and winning the fight, and I was like, oh, this is a sign. I can take this.
Yeah, I can do it. I can do it with one arm.
Sure, I can fight Holly. I got it, no problem.
It might not be my dominant arm, but we can figure it out.
We'll figure it. That's what I thought. I was like, you know what? All right, coaches are saying I'm good. I don't know about this. I'm like, all right, my heart. I got the movie. I'm like, all right, let's go. And
Yeah. You're like, because you're always, I mean, you're always thinking, no matter what the injury is or how minor or maybe more severe it is, in your mind, you're like, when the adrenaline kicks in, I'm not gonna feel that shit anyways. So we're gonna get through it and then we'll fix it later.
yeah, 100%.
Every time. Every time. One of my all-time favorite fights of yours, though, and I don't know if anybody else's is, but it is one of mine. 2007, you took on another hard-hitting, phenomenal fighter. Another one I always wanted to fight, Jessica Rakoczy. Knocking her out, though. I mean, come on. Knocking her out with just 2 seconds left in the 10th and final round to win the vacant WBC lightweight title once again. I need to know about this one.
Man, that's the pinnacle of my career, that fight right there.
Yeah,
and
that was fucking phenomenal.
There's nothing greater that I've done or experienced in boxing, nothing that means anything more to me than that fight. And sharing the ring with her, she's absolute warrior.
Yeah.
And probably has my highest respect out of anybody that I've faced. I mean, we went in there, I felt probably the peak of my conditioning, was in insane shape, the best conditioned situation for me. It was a perfect storm for me.
Yeah.
And went in, and man, we battled out 10 rounds. And I remember it was like the 6th or 7th round, and I had Belinda and Melissa, which was also really cool because it's all female corner, and it was like that was spot at the time, and we were just like, and they would come up to where I was living and training out of, so I didn't have to go to Gleason's, because they knew, like, again, it's female boxers that were coming together, like we're coming up to you, and it was just it was a perfect storm. I mean, the energy, the vibe. I mean, we were all locked in together.
Yeah.
You know, a lot to do with my energy going into that fight, and I just felt unstoppable. I remember going for a run the day before. It was just like I didn't have to go for a run, but I needed to. I was like, I felt that good. And the night before, or was it the morning of? You know, we had seen each other, and we're like, you know what? Let's put one on for women's boxing. And we had, I think it was at breakfast that morning. We came across each other, and we kind of shook hands. We hugged it out, and we were on a mission together.
Yeah.
It was the coolest moment. And like I said, it was like 6, 7 rounds. Belinda or Melissa told me, you know, that it was either close and it was going to go the other way because we were in Cali, or maybe I was down a round or so. And I was like, all right. And the one word that kept going through my head was belief. And that's all that I kept thinking was believe, believe, believe. And we were just shot for shot for shot. But it was like a movie being in there. It was like we were two gladiators. It was something unreal.
Fireworks.
Yeah. And I mean, I knew I heard her in 7th round, I think it was. Yeah, it must have been coming out the 6th. I heard that it was close. It was down the 7th round. I landed a right hand, and I knew she wasn't right. And what I didn't know was that shot, I believe I met her in the airport the next day. She was going for surgery. I broke her orbital. She couldn't see out of her eye, which I didn't know. But then, and she just kept battling. Didn't matter. The 10th round, we touched gloves, and we were both like, we both verbalized to each other, all right, we're exhausted. And we were like, all right, let's do this. Let's put on a show. And I remember we had said that. I don't remember who said it first. And we kind of just looked at each other, nodded, and we went to the 10th round. Again, fireworks.
Yeah.
He just told me, I didn't know it was 2 seconds left. And again, just believe is going through my head, and just step back, launch the right hands. And I did, and it ended. And it was just like, it was like a movie. It really. And the worst part is that I don't have a copy of it. There's really no copies, but the copy that I had, and I believe the promoter's copy, nobody has, because people have called me for copies of the fight. I gave the copy that I had of the fight to somebody that was supposed to do a promotional video for me, and he lost it. And I don't have another copy of it. So I have to try to hunt down the promoter, which is on my list of things to do amongst everything else, and see if
and see if they still have a copy.
What was that?
Yeah, to get another copy.
I have to find a copy. That's the fight. WBA put down as best fight ever. I believe that's the fight that got me into the Hall of Fame. I mean, but yeah, that was just surreal. It was like a true Rocky movie. I can't say enough about that fight. That fight was everything. That was my boxing career right there. That fight.
Yeah. I mean, that was my, I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved all your fights. And it would have been phenomenal if we would have met in the ring because our styles are fucking identical. Identical. Right. But that fight for me was like the pinnacle of women's boxing. I was so excited for that fight. And yeah, and do you still talk to her? I don't know what happened to her, but she like fell off the face of the earth. Like
I don't know what's true, what's not. I heard that, and again, I don't know if this is the truth. I heard that after that fight, she was medically retired. I heard after that fight that she got into MMA. I heard that she had a baby. I don't know what's true, what's not. I don't play anything. I really don't know. There's things that I love to get in contact with her. Again, just because of respect. I mean, anybody that or with like that, I love and respect. We saw each other, like I said, in the airport the next day, hugged it out, and I felt terrible. Obviously, you never want to see you go in there, but you never want to have somebody go into the hospital or be injured to that level after a fight, ever.
Right. No, never. That's never our intentions, ever. You want the safety for everybody involved, for sure. But yeah, she just like totally I heard lots of stories too. I heard she had problems with some guy that she was messing around, some guys that she was messing around. I heard all different kinds of stories, but I was like, nah, man, she was the shit. Like, there's no way. But yeah, I still look every now and then to try to see if I can find anything new on her, but I can't find shit on her.
You're up to again. Reach out, love, my respect.
Yeah.
Hoping that she's well and everything is great in her life.
Yeah, nothing but the best. Absolutely. Kudos. Yeah, one of the best fights of all time for sure. Another travel one though. We're going to talk about 2 times. Miko, is it? I don't never know how to say her name. Is it Rika or Rake? How do you say her last name?
That's Rika.
Right. That's what I thought. That's how I've always said it, but I always thought maybe I was wrong. But Japan, WIBA lightweight title. You guys were fighting for. First time lost the majority decision. Although Ryan Wizzo himself with the WIBA said at the end of the fight that she fell to her knees as if completely exhausted, but still was rewarded the decision anyway. Do you feel that fight was fair? I mean, let's know. What's it like in Japan?
No, that fight was not fair. That fight, again, that's another fight I was mistaken. It's one other fight that I will say definitely was not right. That was not a loss. That fight went that way. I firmly believe, and if anybody has an argument, I'll take it. But I firmly stand by because she was promoting that fight. That fight was under her promotion. And from that fight was going to her orphanage that she grew up in. I wasn't getting that win unless it was on the campus. It wasn't. So when we got glad they went back to say, no. This is my fight, what should have happened originally, and went in there with conviction and full intention to handle business and get what was. That was
the first fight she just wanted to survive. I mean, she's had to make it to that final bell for sure. But you got the victory in the unanimous decision, though. Three-time WBC lightweight champ after that fight with the rematch, and rightfully got the decision fairly that time.
Decision on her. Jelena, second time Jelena wanted the rematch. Gave her what she was looking for. Again, respect, but you wanted it. And I brought it and did it again. So
careful what you wish for. Absolutely. Yes, Sugar did fly to Japan also and fought Michael for sure. You got, speaking of the rematch with Jelena, you did also get the WBAN Fighter of the Month for that victory in December 2009. Outcome was pretty much the same as the first one. I don't think it was much different, but How special was it for you to be recognized by WBAN for Fighter of the Month? I know when I got Fighter of the Month a couple times, I was fucking more ecstatic than probably winning the fight.
Every accolade I've gotten from WBAN has been so and I've to right, from getting into most inspirational boxing on to biggest knockout, road warrior. Like it's just to be recognized. What you're doing is a big deal, and I am grateful for that. On any level, that recognition, I'm always grateful for. You know, just thanks. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about a lot of them, not all of them, but so many greats that you've had the pleasure of joining in the center of that big old square ring. But who would you consider was your toughest opponent and why?
I mean, again, it's got that's say I want that real it, yeah, just because I couldn't figure out what I was missing to really take it. But I think again, raw whatever law, but Holly's always. I just wanted to do more. I wanted that match with me at full capacity, and after really feeling and seeing what she brings to the table, to be able to attack that with that knowledge base of what I learned behind me and see what I could really do with it.
Yeah.
It's always going to be that.
Yeah, I got you there. I feel you. Also, though, honor of being inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame in 2016. Tell us a little bit about your experience with that and how much of an honor that was for you.
That's huge. To be inducted in the Hall of Fame, you're immortal. To live on more than just the end, but worldwide, and be amongst the individuals that stand in that record. That's just that's a blessing in itself to recognize
Absolutely.
that. Like I said,
Absolutely.
Especially my life, my career, everything that I do has a greater purpose to me, and I want to pass on that legacy of things that I've done. That's why I'm grateful to be able to share more of my story. I want to be that person for others to look up to, be that light of inspiration, empowerment, for us to be like, okay, this is what she's done. Cool, she's giving me that strength. And anytime, even with boxing, there were times where just with the overload of work and lack of sleep and constant going and constant hard fights going through it, and you when I said negativity that you deal with, and so many things that just be hitting me. I'm like, not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this good and this positive. I'm doing this to inspire people. I would go running and just tears, not even because I was upset, just because I was exhausted. Tears would just start blowing my eyes.
Yeah.
Shot. And I would have these thoughts of, what? Maybe I'm a step away. Moments of darkness that you go through. Maybe, and I would come home every single time that I thought something like that to a email or a fan letter that, oh, I lost you. Killed it.
She's refreshing.
Say, did we kill? Did we talk way too long? We got shut off. We got shut down.
That's pretty funny. You guys talked up all the energy, man.
We could probably make this like a fucking. I was like, holy shit! I looked at the time, like it's 9:38. What the fuck?
You've got a great story. People are loving it.
Sorry, there's so much. And the truth Look, coach, like, point, like, that part.
She's coming back in a minute. I guess we can chat until she gets back.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. The man behind the camera, right? Now these people think you're talking to yourself.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Great stories.
I try.
Brooke's having technical difficulties. It looks like. I know you were totally in a good. You were in a good space right there. You were talking some great, and then she just disappeared.
I was in flow state. So now don't even ask me what I was talking about. But
It just naturally comes flowing, eh?
facts. Do you have questions?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I do. I do have questions. Holly Holm, the first or second time, which did you think you put on a better performance for?
First time we battled, and the first time I really do. I said I had a broken right arm. I had the head of my broken off. I broke it.
I'm gonna come and join you. So you're not talking to yourself. What up, all these Talkin Fight fans? Yes, I am Mike from Knuckle Up at 4:00 on this channel and the Friday night panel. We're waiting for Brooke to come back. Technical difficulties. Yes. And you were doing so well, and then I don't know what happened. Brooke just she's having some issues with her camera or something. So we'll get her back. So I think you got robbed in that first fight.
I do too.
Yeah, and if you look at the scores, it's heavily scored in favor of her, and it was way closer than that.
Yeah, I was really thought cards were like.
No, she's back.
What in the hell just happened? I am so sorry. My whole fucking computer just froze.
And I said we can make this like I didn't realize what time it was, and I'm like, holy shit, it's 9:40. Like we need to make this like a mini series or something, like a mini.
I'm like, my whole screen just froze, and I said, "Shit, is it me? Is it her?" And nobody could hear me. And then I had to restart my whole shit. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. Where were we? I don't even know.
I was like, I don't know. It's in that going, and if you ask me where I was, he's like, you were in a good place. Place is.
The whole screen just went black, like and froze. I was like, what? I don't know. Well, we've talked about a lot of the things that you've had to go through and deal with, hard times in your career. Is there any other things? And all of us have been through so much BS, behind the scenes shit that we shouldn't have to go through as females in this male dominating sport. Do you have any? I mean, I've told lots of mine so far on this show, but do you have any big ones that were like, man, this is just bullshit. I should not have to deal with this.
Ooh, that's a question. There's so much shit.
I know there's so many. I mean,
wow. I'm gonna leave names out of respect, because that's not me. But you asking the question, I'll give the scenario. Simba, I'm sorry, my dog is definitely craving my attention. Come here,
man. If he'd just sit on your lap, he'd be fine.
here, bud. Come here. Yes, come. No, you don't want to say hi. I love you. I know. I had a situation where a coach that I was working with when I would get to Gleason's after a fight and after winning a fight, um, told me that this individual couldn't work with me any longer because this individual needed to give time to another boxer, and shattered me because I had nobody to begin with, and then somebody that I trusted and valued, and because you're gonna go work with somebody else, whether it was money or whatever else this other individual had, like that's like me. I'm with you. I'm riding with you. As
Yeah.
you're solid, and you're gonna do anything to get to where you need to go, and you're like I'm that person. I'm that loyal person. I'm ride or die, and I do anything that you ask of me. And this is like it didn't make sense to me. That's not
Right.
individual, and especially if you talk about team, like that's not team. And
Yeah.
so person's giving me this isn't the scenario that happened. I'm saying this person's giving me more money, or this person's giving me TV time, or so we're gonna go here, and then
Yeah.
sorry, like that. So and I'm sure that happens a lot, unfortunately, in different circumstances. But yeah, that was probably the hardest. I mean, anything else I could deal. You deal with ups and downs and different adversities, but to have that was personal because of who I am as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Probably cut me the deepest, or was the hardest to deal with.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anything that hits the heart straight in like an arrow. That's, I mean, people always forget. I mean, we're warriors and we're badass. I say bitches, but we're badass females. But I don't know. 99% of us still have a heart of gold.
But you know what? It's a heart of gold, but again, it goes that loyalty, right? But loyalty, integrity, honor,
Yeah,
and I expect, especially if you're part of my team, like that you have that as well.
absolutely. Yeah, you have to. You have to. And you briefly brought this up though. You did for a little bit of time have a phenomenal team. Making history though, even by having an all-female corner team, Melissa Hernandez, Belinda Laraquente, which you also fought. I mean, we didn't talk about that one, but which you also fought. Could you, I mean, that had to have been a significant part of your career, having an all-female corner. Like you said, the dynamics behind that had to have been amazing, because I never got to work with females. So that's just huge.
Yeah, I mean, being able to go down to Gleason's, I mean, we had fun experience down there, that's why I love training down there. My first sparring partner was Alicia Ashley.
Yeah.
And I remember I was
I
like,
fought her.
like, am I sparring a ghost? Because I wasn't getting anything off. It's when I just turned. But yeah, having Alicia and Belinda and Melissa, and I remember Missy Fiorentino came down to work with me at camp. Like that, the camaraderie, that was going on down there, and everybody, you're joking around or whatever. But when it came down to it, everybody's pushing each other at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, to have to go into a fight with an all corner. Holy shit, was that just powerful?
Yeah.
To have the opponent that I had, and the amount of respect that we had prior to the fight and after the fight. And you know what? Actually, I forgot how we had breakfast that morning, but we had breakfast. We didn't have breakfast. We saw each other breakfast the night before. I don't know who said what, but there was some altercation between a couple of members of her team and Melissa and Belinda. Words were said, and I wasn't having it. When I was like, no, I don't. And I went to her that morning. I was like, listen, I'm not about that. She said she's not about that. Like, we can do that with each other and go here, because that's part of the sport. We'll build it up. But at the end of the day, it's respect, and we don't need anybody else getting involved. Like, we're gonna handle that.
Right.
Outside of that, but I think that was just the energy and the hype, and because everybody was on like this level, so great and so just magnificent for the sport. Just the hype, everything about it was, you can't put into words what that fight meant, what that energy level was at, or how powerful that moment was. That's another reason why I wish that I get a copy of that fight, find it, and it can be out there, because I think for other people to see the caliber of that fight, see it was an all-female corner, and to hear the stories coming up to the lead up of that fight, I think it's something that needs to be put out to women's boxing, and should be. documentary.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just any all-female corner. I mean, it's 3 phenomenal icons in the sport of boxing, all in one corner.
And just for the amount of effort that they put into making sure I had the right training. Outside of any of the coaches that I've had or had the opportunity to work with, like that element. But again, because we all knew it, we all were feeling it, we've all gone through it. So you can't match that, and you can't duplicate that.
Yeah.
They're coming up to Westchester County, which is about 20, 30 minutes north of Brooklyn. I'm going out to Brooklyn, and they were giving me everything. They're taking trains and subways to get up to me. I'm taking an hour, 2 hours in traffic to get down to them. And it's like we were just grinding together.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't beat that. Melissa and I were actually supposed to fight a few different times. Had contract. I mean, I signed my contract. We were going to fight several times, actually. And then there was a time where we talked frequently. And she's like, we talked about like working together. And she's like, but if we work together, then we can't fight each other. And I said, hey, I mean, it is what it is. We never did get the opportunity to work together or make the fight happen. It would have been a good fight. But yeah, I almost worked with her a few different times. We talked about it, training together and stuff. But she's like, but then we can't fight if we train together. And I'm like, why not? Like, I mean, don't bother me. But yeah, no, phenomenal person. She's a stitch, man. She cracks me up. She's definitely a different kind of soul. We'll just put it that way. She's funny as shit. She cracks me up. I can only imagine the training. It just makes me laugh just thinking about it. But with both of them and you put together, I mean, it had to have been some funny times.
It was unbelievable. They pushed me to my limits. You know, they brought the best out of me as a fighter. And we all just vibed off each other.
Yeah.
I could put that in.
Man, I wish we all could have that. But yeah, so speaking of the young up and coming fighters out there, what advice would you give to the young females that want to leave their mark in the sport, like so many of the past fighters?
Man, that's cliche, right? Believe it's hard. It can't just be believe. You have to know what you're capable of and be 100% all in on that. I said, all that you have is all that is going to take for all that you want. So, like, go back to your physical. You started off about willpower, where you're willing to yourself. That transition. Give yourself all what you want. Act with intention, on intention, every moment. Because you don't realize that one moment, that one hour, the ability to change your life. You never know what that will happen. So always be ready. Make sure you maintain a certain standard level of rise to raise. You don't rise.
Yeah.
Standards of what we allow, what we accept. To re-control, passion, purpose, and with intention, on intention, in everything that you do. Follow those. There's no way that anything can overcome you. You'll always have that ability to forge through any fire that looking at it is, listen, I'm giving this, but this was greater. This is what I need to never look at your vision, your purpose. Actually understanding, knowing that everybody's given a gift in this world, everybody's given a vision in this world. Nobody else entire life. Nobody else can see it, understand it, believe in you for it. It was given to you. It's your vision to bring out into reality.
Yeah.
You're one person. You're the only one. This is only one trip around the sun, or one lifetime that we have, right? If you're not forced your to the reality that you're wasting. you're the one that's giving it. Just that one person.
Yeah.
And people get caught up in the noise and what if I can't? What if you can? Right? It's cliche, but it's fact. Say things are cliche because the whole truth. It's just the matter who has the courage to step forward and grasp it and say, no, I'm going to run with it. Even this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, let me know in the chat. Are you getting a little bit of static, or if it's just mine or on her end? And maybe was it quick for you to do that reset again?
That wasn't bad. I don't want to.
A refresh.
I'll hit it.
Yeah, do a quick refresh. A little. Okay. Yeah, it was cutting out a lot for me, in and out. It was hard for me to understand what she was saying there, and I don't want the whole thing to be there. We go. That was quick.
Gotcha.
All right, there we go. Big question I always like to ask people, what is it? I mean, you've already secured your mark, yeah, it's much better. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Secured so much with your career, but what do you want to be or hope that people remember you for most?
Man, a couple. I mean, just pushing through, coming at again. That's really, not to sound repetitive, but that's where Rise came from. It came through me one day as to what those letters should stand for, and that's me. That's my baby. That's my legacy, right? Greatness, inspiring, empowering, and impacting lives to achieving greatness against all odds, overcoming all adversity, because we're given this gift, this vision for us to see through.
Mm-hmm.
Negativity in this world, so many doubters in this world feed off of that. Well, they said to the doctors, watch me. Well, I said to everybody, I said against Jelena when they were trying to put in my head of what she's done with respect to her. She hasn't seen me yet. She hasn't faced me. It's me. It's I. That's why I'll use the initials for Ann Marie, right? My given name, AM, because I am.
Yeah.
I. And if everybody recognizes, no, I am. Yes, I am capable. There's I am statements that you say to yourself to make yourself envision what you want and who you really are. Remind yourself of who you are. Remind yourself every day who you are.
Yeah.
That's something that I want people to remember me of, like giving that out. And I believe in you. Like to every fighter that comes to me, I believe in you. Let's go get this.
Yeah.
Every top individual that comes, this is what you want. To every kid, I mean, the most valuable thing that like a child that I spoke to said to me once when I was at a school in the South Bronx, and I went to the classrooms. I would go to the classrooms and interact with them afterwards. And kid said something to the teacher, and then the teacher made him say it to me in front of the class, and he was just like, thank you so much for believing in us and giving us something to believe in, because we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So if we can recognize that our life and our journey is greater than anybody else's lives that we're affecting, and that's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
It bring us to becoming greater within ourselves and for what we actually want, and becoming right. What's success? Creating fulfillment within yourself, and fulfilling yourself by creating it and allowing it to exist in others.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony Issue here is from the UK, says it's 3 a.m. over there.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. That's definitely a good morning for you. Welcome in, Tony. Thanks for joining us at 3 a.m. in the morning over there. Appreciate your time for watching the show again. So we talked about this before we started the show a little bit. So Michael keeps getting on my ass about coming out of retirement and schooling these young bucks out here because of my style, your style. We have the same style. And I laughed, and we were talking about that. And I was going to ask you like what you've been doing since you hung up the gloves, but technically you haven't hung them up. So what have you been doing since your last fight? And do you plan to get back in the ring?
So I never say never. I never said I retired. I've actually been asked several times, not only about getting back in the ring, but primarily about BKFC. And I have never turned down any opportunity. I was asked what I wanted and gave the information out, and was said, okay, we'll be back in touch with you. We have something for you. And I've never heard. So I'm never going to say never. If opportunity arises and it's worth it, or, whatever, I'm going to take it. But me, I train my ass off. Like my life depends on it every single day.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm a strength coach, it's what I've done my entire life. I remember being a kid, push-ups, jumping jacks, whatever I could do, being a little kid in my room. Because again, it goes back to that warrior spirit and those standards and of who I am. I always felt like I was preparing for something greater. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
That mentality is always, I'm a protector. So, and that stands with me. So I don't work out, and I don't understand when people say, oh, you know, you're going to work out. No. And I tell them, I don't work out, I train. There's a difference. I'm training. I have a purpose. And none of my clients, whether they're athletes or not, work out. They're training for a goal to achieve something. So, you know, I train every day to become greater myself. I do protection work as well. So being involved in protection to make sure that I'm handling what I need to. Any situation arises that I'm fully capable of dealing with it, to whatever circumstance, you know. So I'm constantly in the gym grinding, as hard, if not harder, because I'm more knowledgeable now. Because just education, right? I've been doing this for 29 years in the industry, and constantly growing and evolving to be the best coach that I can, but also doing the same thing for myself to become stronger, better, more powerful for myself.
Absolutely.
So I'm in. If it came to a fight, listen, I'm ready to go. Give me a couple weeks to get in boxing shape and get.
Yeah. It's funny because we were talking about that earlier too, and he keeps every time he's like, "You got to come out of retirement. You got to come out of retirement." I said, "Okay, you know what? You got all these connections. Like he works with different people and stuff." I said, "I've always said I miss boxing a lot. Okay, but I have 3 kids. I have a 2-year-old. I just had a baby not that long ago, so I have 3. But I said, here's the thing. I would happily fight again. Happily fight again. Here's the thing with it is, I said, you got the connections. You talk to some people. If you can make me an offer worth my time of coming out of retirement,
Right.
I'm in. But yeah, I'm not going to have somebody call me and fight for the most money I ever made was $4K. And that was in my WBC title fight in Mexico with a rematch with me at St. John. I ain't doing that shit no more. I'm 42 years old. Yes, I will fight. He says it's happening. Yeah, you give me a big ass, some money. Give me some money and a reason to come out of retirement.
100%.
And I don't have to have 18 fights to get to that big money fight.
Yeah, it's got to be. Is a big, you know, especially with what I'm doing, you know, and my brand and the athletes, that's my business that is on a different level now that I would have to put aside because I would be devoting that again. I have to devote all that time to my training and now into boxing as well, which is added on top of the time of strength conditioning, my other work that I'm doing. So, yeah, you got to cover what I'm missing out on financially, plus make it financially tempting for me to want to sign. That's why, you know, they've asked me the numbers and I've given them. This is what I would do it for.
Yeah.
You know? So it has to be of value.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what I said. At this point in my life, it has to be worth it now. Like before, I didn't care because I just want to fight. I didn't give it. It wasn't about anything other than fighting. But now, it's got to be worth it. He said, "Yo, isn't punching somebody in the face enough reason? I can do that anytime. I can do that. I don't have to take a fight for free to do that." It's a comeback champ. I hear Lennox Lewis is coming back. I didn't hear that one yet, but that would be interesting. But yeah, I say if the money's right, I mean, you know, all of us back in the day, I will fight anybody, anytime. It's in our blood, like it runs through our veins. But it's got to be worth it now. I'm not doing it for no pennies anymore. Like it's just, I'm past that at this stage in my life. It's got to be worth it. Yeah, me and you would be some fireworks, but I ain't doing that shit for free either.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean, it's been a long night though. Is there anything I missed, or is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want people to know, or that you'd like to talk about before we finish it up for the night?
No, just I'm gonna put out my own plug. You guys are interested in getting fight ready for camps, DM me. Go onto my IG, AM_Saccurato, or my business page, Rise_Performance_. And if you have any questions on strength conditioning, programming, I do online programming as well. Getting involved with me for fight cams virtually. Actually, when I was working with Macy for a UFC fight, we did a virtual programming. So we had the phone set up, and I was taking her through. So definitely get at me. And because we're talking about boxing, I say look out for my girl Elia Carranza, just coming off her big win with the WBC Continental Latin Belt this past Friday night, and will be making her debut at the Hard Rock Casino January 20th. So I'm very, very proud of her. From day one, I saw it in her, what she's capable of, and she's bringing it all to fruition. And look out for my boy Justin Ibarola, who is BKFC on BKFC card, Hard Rock, February 2nd of 24. So I'm very proud of
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. If your girl wants to come on the show, let me know.
I
I'll happily interview her, give her some press, get her out there. Jose Ortiz, welcome in. So you both are top boxers and fought Cisneros. Yeah, we didn't talk about that one, yes, but she fought Victoria Cisneros, Murdovich Holmes. All of it was a huge record. Brooke beat me at St. John, not once, but twice. Okay, thank you. Took her title in Mexico. Thank you. I was when Brooke punished her bad. The crowd loved you. You were there at that fight? The fight was in Mexico. Were you there at the fight, Jose? That's what's up. Or is this Jose that I know that I spar with? Now that I'm seeing the name, I'm going to have to. Jose, let me know in the comments. Are you Jose that always asks me to spar? Or were you? Yeah. Okay, so you were actually at the fight. But I was training with you during that fight, Maisie. Thank you, Jose. Yeah, we're both amazing fighters. Yeah, we used to spar all the time together. He cracks me up because every time he's good friends with my husband. No, but I will love it. And he always asks me when I'm going to break his nose again because I broke his nose in sparring. So good dude, though. Good dude. But yeah, no, that was an exciting fight. I loved fighting in Mexico. That was actually probably my favorite place to fight because that's the only time in my whole career where I actually felt like I was somebody, because they treat everybody equal over there. The fans are freaking phenomenal over there. I mean, I got booed at the beginning and cheered at the end, but like everybody wanted, like for the press conference and all that. I couldn't leave my room without being like paparazzi. It was crazy. People wanting autographs. Couldn't go eat. That was the only time I ever felt that. And I mean, it was nice, but I was kind of nice when I got home because I was like, man, I know what actors and stuff feel like, because, and like all the guys where you can't go anywhere without people stopping you. Yeah, they were supporting me at the end. Of course they were. They did actually. And that was phenomenal. That was almost like the Rocky thing too, like where you're getting booed and all that shit and everybody hates you. And then the fight's so good, they can't do nothing but like cheer for you at the end. Like they went from chanting her name to chanting my name in the last round. So it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. But yeah, no, good times. But it was an honor. It was such an honor to sit down and talk war stories with you. Hopefully we'll get the opportunity to meet in person one of these days. Keep doing great things. Yeah, definitely. If your girl wants to come on the show, let me know. I'll get her dated in, and we'll get her out there to the world.
Yeah, great. So she'd be great for you. I mean, she's not just pro boxer, owner of Level Up Boxing and Fitness in Fort Lauderdale, Broward Sheriff's Office officer. Yeah, it'd be great to. I would definitely run by her.
All right, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. Give your little man some love and hugs now. Tell him I'm so sorry that I took up your time, but I appreciate it.
Very much.
All right, have a great night, champ.
Love, take care.
All right, peace. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. What do you mean you'll find me a fight here again? Is this the Jose that I actually know personally? Let me know, Jose. You're the actual Jose that I know personally. How are you going to give me a fight in Mexico? But anyways, back to y'all. Man, I appreciate y'all. That was a phenomenal show. Definitely one of the best. It was such an honor to work with. No, I don't know you personally. Another good interview. Thank you, Tony. And thanks for joining me at 3 a.m. again. Appreciate you as always. I hope, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. Please do, though, make sure you guys are liking. Do subscribe to my channel. Do subscribe to Talkin Fight channel. I also have my own page on YouTube. You guys can go subscribe there. Share these out. No, but I was at the fight. You were actually at the fight? That's what's up. They actually did boo me. When I came out, and like the whole fight, they were chanting me. You know how it goes, guys. You know how it goes. But at the end of the fight, they were chanting my name. So that was one of the best feelings ever, for sure. And I brought that bad boy home with me. So can't top that. But do guys make sure that you spread the word. Let people know about these amazing interviews that I do here with all these great ladies. Their stories deserve to be heard. My story deserves to be heard. We all deserve to be heard. And you're going to hear stuff here that you have never heard before. So let people know, like, subscribe, and share the episodes. Make sure that you guys hit the follow buttons on all of my social media platforms. Brooke, No Mercy, Dierdorff, #Millbrook. And of course, No Punches Pulled with No Mercy page. That's on all platforms from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, all of them. So you can stay up to date on who's going to be on the show from week to week. So you know who's coming on. But, make sure that you set those timers and join me here every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You clean the ring with Mia since the beginning. Haha. I did. I think it was definitely a unanimous decision. I don't think they gave her maybe a couple rounds. But yeah, absolutely. It was fun. It was fun. She wanted the fight rematch in Mexico after I beat her the first time as a replacement fighter. And I happily went over there. I just wish I would have made a little bit more than $4,000. That was the only sad thing. But it is what it is. I got the title. Made the Hall of Fame. We doing big things. We were waiting for the KO. Man, I wanted the KO so bad. I wanted the knockout so bad. You don't even know, Jose. I wanted that one bad. Because the reason I wanted the KO, well, first I wanted the KO so bad because she said, about the first fight, stuff about the first fight or whatever. But I take nothing away from her. She's an amazing person. Her story is phenomenal and inspiring. But I was happy and honored to share the ring with her. But yes, I wanted the KO so bad because it was in Mexico. I was so worried that they were going to rob me of the decision. So I did not want it to go to the scorecards. Maybe she wants to fight me again. Hey, we can make that happen. We can make that happen for the right money. For the right money. Y'all give me a big payday. You might see me in there again. All right, you make the calls, Michael. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. Do make sure you go follow all my pages. Let's make another fight with her. That would be amazing. Hey, why not? In Mexico, but I need some money this time. I need more than $4,000. That don't even pay my trip there and back. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be worth my time now. It's got to be worth it for me to get back in boxing shape and come out of retirement after having a kid 2 years ago. Like it, you know what I'm saying? I miss it, but it's got to be right. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's got to be for the right money, right opportunities. I would love to add some more belts to my collection. You know what I mean? But it's got to be for the right opportunity and compensation. I'll put the flights to see the KO. That's what's up, Jose. That's what's up. Hey, join me here though every Tuesday. It's the first time I think I've seen you in the chat, but join me here every Tuesday night, guys, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Follow my social media pages, Brooke No Mercy, Dierdorff-Millbrook, and No Punches Pulled with No Mercy, all platforms. So you can always see who's coming on next week to week, y'all. But I appreciate your time. Thank you all for joining me from all over the world. We will see you again next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the next episode of No Punches Pulled with me, No Mercy. But until then, remember, punch hard because nothing else matters. Have a good night, guys. See you next time.